A Comparative Perspective of Islamism and White Nationalism Antisemitism by Professor Robert Rabil. Professor Rabil is a professor of political science at Florida Atlantic University. Historically, Jews lived in Muslim lands as dhimmi, and they were not singled out. Jews were considered a recipient of divine revelation. However, they were required to pay jizya. Meanwhile, Christians stopped blaming Jews for killing Christ, embraced anti-Judaism. Jews were blamed and scapegoated for many things, including the plague. In the 18th and the 19th centuries, anti-Semitism developed a combination of ideological, racial, and nationalist anti-Jewish attributes. Jews were considered the killers of Christ, inferior people, and alien to Western nations. Also, Jews were target of conspiracy theories, especially the protocols of the Elders of Zion. This form of anti-Semitism began to penetrate the Ottoman Empire during the 19th century, especially after the Western power began to colonize the Arabic world. The emergence of Zionism accelerated this trend of anti-Semitism. Nationalist and conservative Muslims started to use anti-Semitism as an excuse to combat colonization and Zionism. The first Islamist organization, the Muslim Brotherhood, opposed Zionism, considering it an integral part of imperialism that controlled Muslims' lands, especially Palestine and Jerusalem. Muslim Brotherhood fought the Jews during the War of Independence. Sayyid Qutb reinforced the Islamist anti-Semitism on ideological and religious grounds. Jews became unbelievers, and the war against Jews was no longer about regaining Palestine, but ideological and religious. Following the 1967 Arab defeat, Arab countries' Islamist organizations, such as the Muslim Brotherhood and the Salafism, promoted anti-Semitism. Accordingly, anti-Semitism and anti-Judaism, anti-Zionism and anti-Israel became one expression. Hadith and Quranic verses were used to justify anti-Semitism. Takfir is an ideological aspect of Islamism and became an essential component of anti-Semitism. The Salafism started nicely and moderate, then it turned to be violent. A good example is what happened in Saudi Arabia in 1969. A Salafist group turned against the Saudi royal family, describing him as not fit to rule the Islam's most holy places. Accordingly, the Salafist group led an attack on Mecca city and took over the city. The authorities managed at the time to control him and freed Mecca. After this incident, the Saudi leadership started supporting moderate Salafism to overcome any violent branches from him. The Saudi leadership support for the moderate Salafists opens the door wide open for them to stretch to Europe, with many organizations and mosques that started to preach anti-Semitism. In 2012, a Salafist attacked Jews in France, considering them kafir. As Muslim immigration to Europe increased, along with the proliferation of Islamist and Salafist organizations, anti-Semitism spread in European Muslim communities. For Islamism and Salafism, Zionism has been behind the Crusader campaign to defeat and humiliate Muslims and control their lands, including Jerusalem. The negative influence of Muslim Brotherhood and the Salafists reached Egypt and Syria from Europe, saturated with ideas of anti-Semitism. For example, Al-Qaradawi is a Muslim Brotherhood and a well-known Islamist figure appointed by authorities, and he preaches anti-Semitism from a religious perspective. I will talk now about the white nationalism. White nationalism is a term that originated among the white supremacists as an indirect expression of white supremacy. It's often described as American movement, however, it's a global movement. White supremacists of all sorts adhere to at least one of the following beliefs. White should be dominant over people of other backgrounds. White should live by themselves in a white-only society. White people have their own culture that is superior to other cultures. And white people are genetically superior to other people. Antisemitism is substantial for white supremacists, most of whom believe that Jews constitute a race of their own, a race with parasitic and evil roots trying to weaken and corrupt Western civilization. To understand the white nationalists, we have to read their mantras and slogans. The most important one is what referred to as the 14 words. This mantra states, "We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children." Some of the supremacists have the number 14 as a shoulder tattoo. This will lead us to the movement essential slogan. The slogan says, "You will not replace us," meaning Jews are trying to replace the white people. This slogan was openly used in Charlottesville with the specific words, exactly, "Jews will not replace us." The "You will not replace us" slogan and its ideological underpinning originated from Renaud's famous book published in France in 2011 and titled The Great Replacement. In his book, Renaud mentioned that Jews would replace the white people and take over their civilization. Mr. Renaud never described himself as a racist. However, his writing widespread and influenced many people who start comparing their lives' deterioration to an economic reason, of course, to Mr. Renaud's writings, connecting the dots in a wrong way and ending blaming Jews for their problems. The movement picked up a global momentum, and many attacks on Jews start happening everywhere. Andres Breivik has used a manifesto in his attack on Jews in Norway. This manifesto was the European Declaration of Independence, and he is the savior of Christianity. Another attack happened on Tree of Life Synagogue by Robert Bowers because he believed that Jews in the synagogue were facilitating the Great Replacement by bringing new immigrants and helping them reside and replace him in his own country. The movement started to be against minorities in general. As an example is the New Zealand attack against the Muslims mosque. The attacker used a manifesto that described his mentality. His manifesto was the Great Replacement, and he said that this action is a natural response that he is working to create a new society consisting of a white people only. He said every white man must kill all minorities to stop them from decaying the white man, culture, and civilization. Another attack on a synagogue happened in 2019 by John Ernest. His manifesto was the necessity to kill satanical Jews. The necessity to kill satanical Jews. That's the manifesto. He said that he is defending his race by killing Jews and sending them to the hell. The mentality is very similar to the Dark Ages mentality in Europe. Mr. John reached for his fellow Christian brothers to warn them from Jews that will darken their souls. And they, the Jews, are a satanic and inferior. He said that it is a crime not to act while the European culture is massacred by Jews. He said that he had no intention of killing Jews. However, Jews left him no other option. Another massacre happened in 2019 in El Paso, Texas. The attacker said that even some Hispanic people got killed. However, he said his attack was a natural response to the invasion of his country by minorities to replace the white race. In a conclusion, today the two transitional movements, Islamism and White Nationalism, though they emerged under different circumstances, they share a common goal: to defend their societies against a genocide campaign led by the Jews. Whereas Islamism perceives Jews as spearheading a civilization and a religious struggle against Islam, while nationalists perceive Jews as spearheading the campaign to genocide European people to replace them. These two movements conflate and fight in the Jews to defend their civilizations. Herein lies the danger in the Jews, and that Jews in the West are becoming targets in a struggle no longer nationalist but civilizational.